Who's gonna tell these people that it's not normal to look at a young girl and think of them doing adult content? You can't tell me that this isn't meant for files. It should be about intent. These people are showing it in every single message they put. Here on the channel, we've spoken about a lot of forums, websites, and everything in between. Sadly, it's far too easy to find predators on the internet, and during my research into another topic that one of you guys sent to me via email, I stumbled upon something incredibly disturbing. In the near future, I'm going to be covering a disturbing visual novel that you may not have heard of. My first step in any of my research is just to do a basic Google search, and I was on call with some of my friends doing just that. On Google's search page now, you'll see a tab titled Discussions and Forums, and under that, you usually have websites like Quora or Reddit. But this time, it was different, because I was seeing posts from 11 years ago from a website called First Loves. Clicking through, I found out the website was actually called First Loves Movies, and on the surface, it looks like a normal site, potentially a place to archive actresses, actors, etc. The site is like something out of the early 2000s visually, and they describe themselves as an international forum dedicated to childhood movies based on first love, the beauty of youth, and coming of age. So I thought it was odd that they were discussing this disturbing visual novel I was researching, and I quickly found out that this site is not what it seems, because when you enter the forum area, things take a dark turn. So let me introduce you to First Loves Movies, an absolutely awful site that I stumbled upon. Now, first of all, before we get into this next section, I just want to give the usual disclaimers. I didn't see anything illegal or anything like that in these videos. I take major precautions to make sure that that doesn't happen, and although these sites are bad, they're usually bad in the case of implying things, not actually outright doing them. As always, anything I find will be reported to the appropriate sources. A site I reported for my exposing a secret predator forum video actually got taken down around 7 months ago. So yeah, that's a W, and it proves that, you know, bringing awareness to these sites can actually be a good thing. Because I always get comments like, oh, why are you talking about this? Well, because I feel like if you have a voice, you have to use it. So when you first go to First Loves Movies, you'll be taken to this page. It looks like something straight out of the 2000s, and it has the description I said in the intro, an international forum dedicated to childhood movies based on first love, the beauty of youth, and coming of age. Now that sounds great, right? You know, we all love a coming of age movie. And you also have an index of child actresses and actors. So let's just click on K, for example, and you can see index of actresses K. We have a bunch of actresses. And it also lists all their movies they've been in. So let's take Emma Karwandi, for example. She's been in The Trainer, Death Wish, The Haunting Hour. They also say that they're friends with Rare Film Finder and Lost Movies Archive, but we're going to focus on this site for now. So we're going to click this button that says Enter FLM. When you click on this, it will take you to a forums page. They have their own logo here, which seems innocent on the surface, but is very, very creepy when you find out what I'm about to tell you. You can see we can do a lot of things. We can register, log in, like things, and then you also have all the categories. So we'll go through them one by one. We have posting rules, email help, site help and dev, FAQ. You then have your general hardware, TV announcements, child actresses and actors. And then you also have all movie releases, but is separated by country, so you can easily find what you're looking for. And then you also have a place if you want to request movies. And then you have other stuff like documentaries, music videos, and you also have links to other websites, which we'll dive into a bit more later. So we're going to just take the first category, for example. We're going to go to the general category. And you can see people are asking a lot of things. So like, here's the actor indexes, for example. We've got identification of films, even a thread about the World Cup where they're genuinely just talking about the games. So let's have a look at one of the normal threads first. We're genuinely just gonna have a look at the World Cup thread just because I want to show you how innocent this seems on the surface. So you've got people saying, and that's how my little Italian team was disqualified from the World Cup for the third time. Someone replied, maybe Italy just needs a better soccer team. Imagine if Italy also doesn't make the 2030 World Cup, that would be embarrassing. So yeah, it's genuinely just like very very normal conversations. And as you can imagine, because the World Cup is actively on right now, these posts are very, very recent. The first one was made on Tuesday, March 31st, when Italy did get disqualified. But this thread continues to be active even today. I'm recording this video on June 19th, and you can see here that it was June 17th when the last post was made here. And you see people are saying stuff like, we need a children's FIFA World Cup instead of adults playing soccer. It's children. I mean, a Little League World Series exists, so why not a children's FIFA World Cup? Someone says under 20 World Cup or under 17 World Cup. Maybe there's an under 15. The kids start in their football schools, move on to their youth national teams. So again, quite normal conversations, you know, for a website like this where kind of the topic of discussion is child actresses. You can kind of expect to talk about, you know, football, children playing football. And look, you can think it's weird. I have my own opinions on if it's even weird to have a whole forum dedicated to child actresses in the first place, but that's not the point, because we don't need to prove that what they're doing is weird, because they straight up just are weird. But before we dive into that, I want to first show you just how far back this site actually goes. The first post made to this website was months before I was born. I was born on October 21st, 2004, and the first post on this site was made March 24th, 2004. So this site that I'm covering today as a 21-year-old has been around since before I was born, when I was literally in the womb. So this is just a normal first poster saying, I've created a new category if you know of any useful websites for players, codecs, information, downloads, views, software, etc, etc, etc. And the posts continue to be quite normal. We have this one from September 2004 where they're saying, wow, check out this guy's collection, and it's basically them just buying DVDs and VHS tapes. I did not say that right, VHS tapes. But there are already signs as to what this site truly is, because you can see people speaking about how this one of the people on eBay has a VHS of Little Lips. Now, Little Lips has one of the highest bids at the time, and if you don't know what that is, because I didn't either, I don't blame you, it is a movie from 1978. Now, Little Lips was a debut film for an actress called Katja Berger. But there's one notable reason why they're talking about Little Lips on this site, and it's certainly not because of the plot. So on the 21st of September 2004, this guest user said, Little Lips in DVD is edited. This, guys, is an original uncut version, only available in VHS. Now, you may be wondering, well, what changes? Is it just a few deleted scenes of the plot? Well, Katja Berger was 11 to 12 years old when this movie was filmed. And during the film, she had nude scenes which were then edited out for the United States release of the movie. These people are actively bidding on a VHS that has nude scenes of a minor. And that's really the first sign. The first sign of this site being a bit dodgy came all those years ago. So now we're gonna jump back to present time. There was a thread made on April 16th, 2024, and the title is Your Top Favorite Bathtub Scene. Now, obviously, everything is going to be blurred because you can't really show pictures of kids on YouTube, no matter what they are, and none of them are like illegal or anything. It's literally just headshots of the actresses. But everyone's profile picture on this site is just a headshot of a child actress. So yeah, like I said, they're talking about their favorite bathtub scenes, and look, you need to be logged in to view images. I ain't viewing any images on this site, bro. Nope, 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 nope. But you can see the little tags here, square bracket, image, square bracket. So that's how we know that there is one present. And yeah, so they're talking about their favorite scenes from each movie here, and they're linking the image. And this thread just goes on and on and on. And on April 22nd, 2024, a site admin came into this thread. So it's not as if these posts are going under the radar. They are being actively contributed to by admins and moderators, and they said not to push sites that specialize in showing child nudity. This is a site that's been around since 2019. Now, I'm gonna blur that link. I'm just gonna blur that link. So they said, this is a site that points out movies with scenes of children bathing. Also, the movie titles are links to the FLM page of that film. Picking a favorite is tough. And then he proceeds to list off a bunch of movies. So Kev, this site admin, decides to pop in again a few days later and says, I think in the past women directors are less squeamish about child nudity in their films. However, these days, at least in America, with the Me Too movement and the backlash against the Jeffrey Epstein debacle, I think everyone is a little nervous to show any child son's clothing. I'm sorry, can we really call Jeffrey Epstein the pedophile who, you know, trafficked kids on an island with lots of high profile figures? Can we call that that a debacle? I think that's a bit more than a debacle. And yeah, like I say, this thread just goes on and on and on. It has 16 pages with 155 posts. And can I also point out that there's another site admin ghost in here, and right under that a global moderator called Knight457. So that is 3 moderators and site admins that have been in this thread now. So why exactly would you want to, you know, tell everyone your favorite scene that features a child in a bath? Why, as grown adults, are you pining over that content? Why do you want to see it so bad? And speaking of, if anyone from this forum sees this video, they're probably going to call it censorship. So that takes me on to the next thread, which is aptly named censorship. So they link out to a PDF of what seems to be an article. It was the front cover of Der Spiegel, which is a German news magazine, and it features Eva Linesco, who is only 11 years old. Now, I did a quick Wikipedia search and found out what was actually featured, because obviously, again, I don't think I'm going to say this again, I'm not clicking on anything on this site, fuck that. And it says that she appeared on the cover page of Der Spiegel at the age of 12, completely nude. The issue was later expunged from the magazine's records. So yeah, they understandably tried to wipe this off the face of the earth completely, but there are still versions online. And yeah, Kev, the site admin, is back, completely buzzing to see this. He said, wow, I haven't seen that magazine cover in years. And if we scroll down, they're saying, what can I say, you truly rock. As I said, my mumsy confiscated and destroyed, so she told me, and I'm inclined to believe my ill-gotten copy, because he stole a copy of the magazine at the time. And I thought I'd never see the article again. It was a very interesting expose on CP. Couple of nice pics of Eva. I don't think the words expose of CSAM and a couple nice pics of a child should be in the same sentence. Those don't really go together. There's something about Eva's porcelain doll looks that captured my heart back then and kept her there, though, for the years. Sorry, I cannot talk today. So then, this person called Emular, who's another big user on the site, they have 7,000 likes and almost 5,000 posts. They said, do porcelain dolls have hair down there? In my honest opinion, that made her look a little older. So then Kev, the site admin, by the way, I'm gonna constantly keep reminding you of that, says, well, in my honest opinion, a black Sharpie will take care of anything that's missing. As a nudist, I can affirm that there are many girls as young as 10 and 11, a few even younger, that have a nice growth of hair at that age. So this is a guy who's definitely an adult. His account was made on January 17th, 2006. That was literally 20 years ago. So say he was, what, 18 at the time? That would place him at least in his 40s. Why the hell is a man in his 40s, even if you are a nudist, why are you looking at young girls naked? I'm sorry, but I'm not falling for the excuse of, well, I'm a nudist. And just a reminder, by the way, that this thread isn't recent. This is also from 2008. So this other user called Dead Arise said, WTF, now I'm going to be downloading this shit. Thank you, you demand. Surely that's got to break the law. And I want to make it very clear that they are still sharing the link to this in at least 2025. That was literally 7 months ago when they were sharing this link here. And yes, I want to clarify that it is considered CSAM content. So these people are admitting on this site, moderators of the site, by the way, because Knight has returned, they are actively admitting to downloading this content on their computer. They're committing crimes and speaking about it publicly. And in fact, they're actively encouraging people to transfer the file to a USB, copy it to a computer with no internet, burn the USB, use it uninstall it to do a complete wipe of deleted space in the original computer's hard drive. Yeah, they are literally trying to ensure that no legal entity can find any source of them having downloaded this. Now, if that doesn't show that they know what they're doing is wrong, well, I think it does. So we've got another thread similar to the bathtub one where they're saying your favorite swimming / lake scenes. And this person, who is quite a popular user here called Deadman, says, 15-year-old blank and 11-year-old blank. I like that scene a lot. Young Jasper is lucky to have friends like those two. And Deadman returns, you know, giving even more recommendations. And someone replies saying, I always think it's funny when this character notices that another character is looking at her chest. She covers him up. I always think it's too late. He's already having a good look at them. Very odd thing for an adult to be thinking about anyway, but I digress. And Deadman replied to this and said, she doesn't care until she realizes he's looking at her body like that, then she becomes self-conscious. One of the things that's a little distracting in the rest of the movie is the age difference between the actors. She's 15, he's 11. I can believe he'd have a crush on her, who wouldn't, but it's hard to believe she'd reciprocate his feelings. Now, there's another thread that I want to focus on from General before we move on, and it says, movies where parents do the deed and the kid is also present in the scene. Now, of course, people give their recommendations, and someone with the username HugMeNot9999 says, here you can find similar scenes. And they link out to another website, which I'm not going to give the name of again. Now, if you go to the default page, I'm not clicking on that search term, you can see that it says, this site contains information about all known scenes from films, TV series, and newsreels with underage actors and actresses that may be considered indecent, inappropriate, offensive, or unacceptable by individual viewers. And yes, this is a whole website dedicated to child nudity. And in fact, they even have it tags. So if you go to the new movies section, they say girl bath scene, girl nudity, girl topless, girl bath scene, girl first sexual experience. You can literally sort this by tags. So these predators can find exactly what they're looking for. And if you go down, they literally rate it. They give it points. Do you know how dystopian that is? So we can see this movie's rated 9 on the nudity scale. And it says full frontal nudity of this actor in a shower scene. And it literally contains the age of the actress as well. You can't tell me that this isn't meant for pedophiles. And they have a bunch of categories up here, so you can make accounts, you can view keywords, movies, their top 100 movies. It's like a fucking Rotten Tomatoes for predators. You even have scenes, you have analytics. Okay, it's a list of how many scenes they have. I don't actually know what oh, you can sort it, right? Okay, great. You can sort it by where they're from, it is their name, the amount of movies, the amount of scenes, their ages. This is absolutely vile. And the movies are rated through their stupid little chart. So you can see here, this one is a 10.0 rating. This is genuinely insane. And just by doing some base research, I found out that a lot of these sites doing this and similar stuff, they are coming out of Russia. So we're going to move on to another one of the categories, and that's specifically the category that's focused on child actresses and actors. Now, they are actively updating this. There was a new thread made just a few days ago, and they're talking about actresses who are like incredibly popular now, like McKenna Grace, for example. But let's go all the way back to the 4th page. Now, there's a fucking outrageous thread that says Mackenzie Foy approaching sell-by date. Brother, what the hell? So the article, they just linked out to a news article. And by the way, I wanted to point out that when they linked out to this article, she was 13, approaching her 14th birthday. So they see 14 years old as women's sell-by dates. And we just know they don't mean this in the child actress way. We know exactly what they mean this in. They mean this in the most perverted way possible, because that's all they are. And the first reply is from another site admin called Fuzzy4242. And he says, she's only 13, almost 14. So there's still some time left on her meter. She's not a fucking parked car. So there's another thread dedicated to an actress called Chloe Grace Moretz. This was made in 2011 when she was only 14 or 15. And now she's been in a lot of things, like the banger that is Tom and Jerry the movie. So the thread starts off as what some might consider normal for a site talking about child actresses, where they're saying she's definitely a favourite. I figured it would be nice to have a general section for her so that everyone who's a fan could post material. And there is a comment not that far down by an account called PT Guardian. They have 15,000 likes and they joined in 2008. This post is made on October 2nd, 2011. And they say most of the thousands of young actresses won't have the same opportunity. All it takes is a few hit roles and being liked by the thousands of people she works with. As for TV movies, they can be very good these days and pay a lot of money. As for softcore porn, lol, perhaps, but I doubt it. We can only hope. Who's going to tell these people that it's not normal to look at a young girl who is a minor and think of them doing adult content? That is not normal. That is really, really not normal. And to be honest, wood chipper. This is absolutely insane, because in 2012, a year later, there must have been some incident, because this person called Emular posted, well, that's the first nip peek then, many more to come. Then PT Guardian pipes up and says, more pictures to come, of course, it's Chloe, more nip peeks, you're confused, and are thinking of another site that posts as such. So yeah, this is a genuine network of all these sites focused on child nudity. And I guarantee that if you were to investigate these guys, you would find that stuff on their hard drives, and they try to use the defense of, oh well, it's just a movie, I just downloaded a movie. But that shouldn't fly, because there's clear intent here. It should be about intent, and these people are showing it in every single message they put. Another person said, gotta say, Chloe is getting really hot. She looked hot to me in Dark Shadows, the way she acted and looked. She was 15 when this was made, by the way. Fuzzy, the site admin, says, unfortunately, she's getting almost too old for FLM, born Feb 10th, 1997, so she's 15 and a half now. I have a feeling, judging by how many people here really like her, that her sell-by date will be extended for a while. Again, mention of that disgusting sell-by date term. So someone asks if the limit is 18 or 16, and the site admin says that 16 is usually the limit. So again, this shows that they are only what you can only really call simping for actresses who are under 16. So they also discuss another actress here, and they say something about how the actress was giving flesh-colored underwear to wear so it looked like she was naked, but she found it uncomfortable for it and did the rest of the scene naked, showing her goodies to every crew member. Again, minor they're talking about. You shouldn't be using goodies to refer to anyone, never mind someone who's under the age of consent. So there's another thread which is called Juicy Details Revealed by Eva Linesco in New Book, and it's talking about how she lost her virginity when she was a young age. And in this they talk about it a lot, but there's one notable comment I want to talk about because it's absolutely sick. They said, not that big of a shock, used to be a time when every high school teacher over 40 had sex with one of his pupils. I don't think that happened. I think that's very, very corn-brained of you. Used to be very acceptable. Did it? Really? I highly doubt that. Only when 25-year-old female teachers started giving BJs to 14-year-old boys, of which I'm not convinced like at all is so bad for boys, especially those 16 and over. So this is literally another user of this site trying to justify a person in a position of power having sexual relations with not only a student, but someone who's a minor. And this is again why I genuinely believe that adult content can genuinely rot the brains of people. It can make them think that stuff like this is normal, but that's just not true. It was never acceptable. And in this thread, they actually talk more about being attracted to young girls. A person called J-Law said, studies show it's a fear of law which restricts men, otherwise men are naturally attracted towards younger girls more. And someone replies saying, during their teenage years is when girls are at their most fertile. I've often thought this attraction towards younger girls more of an inbuilt instinct sort of thing. That is genuinely insane. No adult should be thinking about a teenage girl being fertile. Otherwise, I'm getting the word nonce. So of course they discussed Brooke Shields on this forum, and they linked out an article from 2009 where a provocative nude photograph of a 10-year-old Brooke Shields was going on display. So at the time, children's campaigners labelled it as a magnet for paedophiles. I'd say that's an accurate description. And the first reply to this is, wow, please more photos. Then someone said, Jesus, go to Google images settings, don't filter, then put in this search term, which I'm gonna blur. Right now you get 103,000 links, should keep you busy for some time. What are you busy with, huh? What are you busy with? So then someone talks about another photo and they say, certainly the golden photo was innocent, even more belonging to the stereotypical rock idol. The what collection? Excuse me? I don't know if I can show that on YouTube, but YouTube will fucking nuke this video if I say any of those words. Wow. That's insane. Now, there actually are some people taking a moral high ground for a bit here, saying that the second photo is wrong. And it's just sick. No idea who would produce shit like that. So, wow. Normal people on this disgusting forum? I highly doubt it because our other posts have 8,000 likes, for example, and the person with 8,000 likes says, what saddens me is someone felt the need to post it here. So then a person removed the picture based on the reactions, and they said that they linked to a discussion thread on another site, again proof that this is kind of a network. But shocker, very quickly it goes back to just the usual degenerate shit, because it literally like a few months later someone says Brooke Shields more pictures here. And back to the discussion. So PT Guardian comes back and says, a little discretion and common sense makes us a safe place for everyone visiting here. We do not advocate CP here at the current FLM. I feel like the fact that they had to include a current FLM says everything you need to know. This has been agreed upon. I fucking hope so. And as you can see, the pictures are no longer here. By themselves, the picture may be appropriate, but highlighted is what is sought after, in this case, indicated, drilled upon is not. And we get some information about what is considered the old FLM, because the site actually went down for a brief period in the 2010s. So Fuzzy, who is one of the original owners, it seems, says, when the old board died and Mimsy reincarnated it, we asked several sites with similar themes for linking. They refused because of our reputation. Since then, we've been toning down blatant drooling over special scenes. So yeah, it's very clear that in the old forum, they were very much, you know, being very forward with this, being very clear that they were getting some sort of, you know, pleasure from looking at these scenes and pictures of kids. And the only reason they toned that down, as they blatantly admit here, is to keep FLM alive and well. The admin literally says they don't care why someone wants a film. That's none of their business. You'd think it should be though. And you know, it must have been so bad that they had a reputation for it. So let's bring that reputation back to the general public. So I did some digging and I found out their old URL was firstloves.com. And if we go on the Wayback Machine, we can find archives of the old site. So this is what it looked like back then. This is, you can see that according to this, it got over, is that 10 million page views? That is crazy. And the site started in 2002, so even longer. And they genuinely do basically just have the same categories as they do on the current site. So I went into the general category and I found a thread called humor. So this person said, "These made me smile. I got some more. If y'all want them, let me know." And one of the replies from August 2008 is, should I be laughing or drool.gif? So yeah, they weren't joking about the drilling. They were literally sending drill gifs. So someone called Loverboy, who it says is an elite user, comes in and says, "Oh dear, I might have guessed this was going to be hard work. Nobody is suggesting these posts are not humorous. I found them extremely amusing. However, I wish people would think of the implications of posting on the internet. At FLM, we reside in a world that most would agree is best kept fairly low profile." Now let's focus on that for a second, because that is basically a direct acknowledgement that they wouldn't want this knowledge of this site getting out, because they know how bad that would look if they were, as they put it, drilling over literal children on the internet. Humor is great, but at least one of these pics is verging on CP. So again, there we go, blatantly admitting that the content being posted on this site can qualify as CSAM. So there's also a thread about Dakota Fanning and someone called Quick One who joined the site in 2006, so again, let's place them in about their 40s, said, "Happy 15th birthday, Dakota," in 2009. P.S. I just had to post this. Did you? Did you really? You know, there's something sick but also quite funny about someone's dad hopping on the computer to say happy birthday to a minor. It's messed up. It's messed up. So on the page, there is also a category called childhood website links, and if we go to it, it's page after page, 133 individual topics speaking about related sites that have similar content. So that shows you just how deep this rabbit hole goes, because there's at least even if some of these aren't talking about websites directly, let's just round it down to 120, even 120 individual websites that these people all know about, link external content to, about children kissing, children nude, everything in between. And it would not surprise me if some of these sites contain what can only be considered as CSAM. It's cooked. It's absolutely cooked. This rabbit hole is incredibly disturbing, and as you saw, it just keeps going. I'm kind of lost for words, because it seems that the more you scroll, the worse it gets. I'm quite confident that people on this site have what the law would consider CSAM. They have literally admitted to downloading a disturbing magazine cover that has actually been banned by the company itself, and they admitted to taking measures to ensure they did not get caught. One even joking that they needed a guide on how to download it safely so the FBI didn't show up at their door. These people focus on the innocence of these children a lot, and that's probably one of the most disturbing and sickening parts. They aren't trying to act as if they're older. In fact, they are literally saying that the actresses have a sell-by date, which is absolutely vile. Considering a lot of these users have to be in their late 30s to early 40s, likely older, some could be parents or have access to kids, and if this is where their mind goes, they seriously need a reality check, and someone in law enforcement positions needs to speak to them about their online activity, because this simply can't continue. This site has been up for years, since before I was born, and it's not going to go away because I made a video on it. Whether we like it or not, they could play a lot of this stuff off as just liking the actor or actress, but it doesn't take a genius to know that it's much deeper than that. I'll be reporting this, obviously, because they literally admit to having something that could be considered CSAM, and if they have that and openly talk about it, God knows what else that hard drive contains. I urge you to report this site as well, and hopefully something can be done about it. They don't want this spoken about publicly, so get the word out there that these predators exist and they are not hiding it. They are on public forums talking about disturbing things, and the worst thing we can do is stay silent. That's what they want. They want to stay in the shadows, and as normal people, it's our job to make sure that they can't do just that. But thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you did enjoy or learn something new, don't forget to like, subscribe, hype the video, and share it. All of those things really help the channel. If you're listening on Spotify, you can rate the show 5 stars and give the podcast a follow as well. All of my social links are in the description and on screen right now, and thank you to everyone supporting the channel through Jessicur Plus, Patreon, or even here on YouTube. You mean the world to me. And hey, if you're looking for something new to wear this summer or for the rest of the year, then I just dropped some new designs over on jessicur.com. You can check out the brand Le Minoir on there, and yeah, if you like it, pick one up. Also, just a note, from June 24th to June 29th, I'm going to be in Los Angeles. If you are attending VidCon, I'll likely be kicking about somewhere. So yeah, if you're going to VidCon and you like me, then hey, come and see me. I'll be back very soon, but if you want another right now, then I think that you'll like the video that's on your screen.